Award-winning exit strategist and business mentor, helping seven-figure business owners secure eight-figure exits. 4 times Business Mentor of the Year, rescuer of bankrupt companies, builder of multinational billion-pound businesses, guide for countless entrepreneurs over her 25 years of experience, lawyer, accountant, an all-round fascinating individual.
Oh my
Christine
God.
Nicholson, thank you very much
That's,
indeed for joining me. Welcome to the Leadership That Sells podcast, where we help you lead first and sell more with great insights and tactics from the best minds we can find. Every leader is in sales, whether you're selling products, ideas, a mission, or a vision, and great sales team in particular need great sales leaders. When managers bring out the best in their teams, targets get hit on time every time without stress. But most sales leaders never learn how to lead. They wing it or they repeat bad habits and the cycle continues. Sales leaders need practical, real-world ideas that fit their busy schedules, and that's why we created the Leadership That Sells Playbook course. 9 short weeks changes your world. Check it out at the Practical Leadership Academy. And now, on with the show.
I absolutely can't add anything to that.
Oh, all right. Well, we're done then. That'll do. I was going to say, I mean, how do you get, you've got an accounting qualification and you're a lawyer by training, and did that kind of lead you to where you're doing this exit
Yeah.
stuff?
So just to correct a slight error there, I am a qualified accountant and fully trained and experienced. I scratched an itch by doing my law degree, which I really enjoyed, but decided not to pursue legal training because, frankly, when I looked at what legal training was, I just thought, yeah, life's too short.
Yeah, exactly. It's too much like hard work, frankly.
Yeah, well, it's all the forms and the regulations, etc. I had enough of that when I was doing accounting. So, and one of the things about training to be an accountant was, as I was training, I was looking at all of these accountants who had previously qualified, and they all seemed to be pulling their hair out and having, it was all month-end cycles, and it didn't seem very interesting, and it seemed rather stressful. And I just thought, I don't really want to do that. What are the other doors that can open? And I'm afraid I'm very much like the phrase "be more dog" couldn't be more applied to me, because when you let the dog off the lead in a park, they run towards the other dogs and they sniff things out and they decide whether they like them or not. And worst case scenario is they go back to the lead. And my entire career has been defined by, oh, I wonder what that's like. Because, well, if it doesn't go right, I'll just come back here. And unfortunately, I've never actually gone backwards. I've always just gone to another thing. So that's how I've ended up here.
Oh, it's magnificent.
Completely random, being a dog.
But I love that. Be more dog. How fantastic. It took me until I was 46 and being made redundant to actually go, that lead isn't a lead. That's a set of handcuffs.
Yeah.
But it's there, and you can make money. You can make money. I think the important thing is you can have freedom and you can do the things that you want to do on
Yes.
your terms. And that's really valuable.
Yeah.
There's not much money you could replace that with, really.
No, life should be filled with joy. Now, sometimes to experience the joy, you kind of got to put a bit of work in. But the end game has got to be some kind of flow or some kind of joy. And it's actually one of the things that really drives me is I see really stressed business owners. And they're making life really hard for themselves because they don't know how to make it easy. And I mean, both of you and I are in the game of helping business owners make life in business easier. And so when you see them go, oh God, so this is what it should have been like, then
Joy. Joy
that's
is such a good word. I mean, it's you said you have to do the work, and I think work is actually underrated, frankly. And I've got 2 small children, and trying to get into their heads that work is the reward.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Right? Work is the reward. The journey is the destination. You're not doing something to get somewhere. You're doing something to do
Yeah.
something.
Yes. Yeah.
And when I'm not busy, when I'm not doing things, it does my head in.
Yeah.
I get depressed. I don't get depressed, but I realize that, oh, I'm not feeling off your arse. Go to the gym,
Yeah.
go and do something, get out, get
Yeah.
some sunshine, get the pencils out and start building, creating, fixing, doing something for someone.
Yeah.
But I
My
think,
sug-
like you said, sorry, those the entrepreneur types, the entrepreneurial CEOs. Now they're a breed. They're a total breed. They're totally uneducated and they've never been brought up to treat people right and all that. But they work too bloody hard on all the wrong
yes.
stuff.
Yeah.
Driven, fabulous, passionate, enthusiastic, yay!
Yeah.
Burnt out, dying of the effort, can't get one more step in front of it. And yeah,
Yeah.
poor sods.
Yeah, more likely to be divorced. And I mean, my sister puts it very succinctly in 6 words: get up, dress up, show up in whatever way that
Nice.
is going to give you the joie de vivre. You know,
Get up, dress up, show up. Write that one down. That's good.
mm,
Okay. What then? Let's get to the nub of this. I mean, so you spend much of your time trying to help organizations, trying no, actually not even organizations, trying to help the people, the
yeah,
person typically, the founder, the manager of a company who's come to you and said, Christine, could use a wee bit of help here because I want to sell. I
yes,
think my time has come, and if it hasn't come, then I need to do something else.
yeah.
Right? What? How did you get to that point? So dial back to something that said, "This is the direction that I'm going to go in because I can add all these skills together and do this for people." What was the first one that actually drove you there?
So when I qualified as an accountant, having spent 4 years training with people that I just thought I don't want to be them,
Hmm.
I was really lucky in that the first qualified job I got had 2 lines on the job description: keep us legal, find ways of adding value. And it was an open book. I was allowed to do anything. But what I very quickly realized was that the end game for them was it was a fourth or fifth generation family business. The next generation weren't interested in coming in. So actually exiting was the only way out for them. So we had to take this big bundle of businesses that had been acquired randomly over periods of time and actually look at them from a value perspective, look at them from a buyer's perspective, and then bundle them accordingly. So it was, I think there was 40 businesses all told, and over a period of 4.5 years, then all I did was serve the best apprenticeship in exiting. And we did it across every type of exit, from putting a business into liquidation, voluntary liquidation, right the way through to selling to a VC company. Including selling one business to the employees, selling one to trade. It was just the most
Wow.
wide-ranging exit, and that just it gave me a taste for starting up businesses myself, and that's what I went on to do. So I started up one business, and then another business, and then I took another bankrupt business over and built it to exit. And just over, I know, the last 25, actually it's more than 25 years, nearly 30 years now, that's fundamentally the golden thread has always been exiting. And now it is basically the only thing I do. I'm very refined in this is taking your business from unsaleable to saleable to worth more and easier to sell. And there are 3 exits for a business owner. There's getting out of the day-to-day, which is usually has a significant amount of leadership in it, but it's mindset, stepping into leadership, handing over the control, which is pure leadership. And then there's the exiting in terms of the transition of ownership of the shares, regardless of what type of sale that is. But unless you can get out of the day-to-day, your business is unsaleable. Unless you can hand over control, your business is unsaleable. And if your business is unsaleable and you try and put it on the market, you're going to be on the market for a long time. And that is stressful.
Yeah. You're sitting there. I mean, I do like that, the 3 exits. And you've got to get them all right. I wonder what's the almost the funnel, the conversion from one to the next. I mean, I can see people managing to get out of the day job, but not managing to hand over control effectively because they've never been taught how, and that's my bit. You can hand over the control, but you still don't make the exit because you're not in the right. You're not making the right numbers. Your due deal will never pass in, far less.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, the three biggest factors in the reason why businesses fail to sell: owner reliance, absolutely categorically the number one; poor financial reporting, and lack of preparation for due diligence. And the annoying thing is that, take the due diligence one, for example, the preparation you do at the beginning is easy. If you don't do it, the process at the end is really hard. I mean, I always call it Dante's 10 levels of hell. It's like, it's an inferno. It's going to get hot. It's emotional. It takes time. You shouldn't have to do it on your own. And the mistake that most business owners make is that they think that they're the only ones who can do it.
Yeah, I've seen that 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
So we need to put a data room together. Okay, well, we've done it before, and you have a look at whatever's in it, and it's 3 spreadsheets and a PowerPoint slide. You're thinking, it's a start, but I mean, if you Google what should go in my data room, you'll get a bazillion different bits of stuff, and it's relatively straightforward to pull this sort of thing together with a decent financial director. And it's typically the finance, it's typically the FD that does it.
Yeah.
And a lot of these companies are relatively small. They don't have the HR overhead or all that sort of stuff. You don't need to. Anyway, yes, I love that. Maybe in the case of some of the stuff I'm looking at, keep us legal, find ways of adding value, prep for exit, prep for due dil.
Yeah.
Day one.
Absolutely.
I've always said, when it comes to reporting of any nature, if you are creating a report, you have to be able to make a decision from it.
Yes.
Can't make a decision from it, don't bloody create it in the first place.
Yep.
And see all the stuff that you're doing for your board. Dial it back from the board to the quarterly, to the monthly, to the weekly, to the daily, and it should all feed in. It should all be the same thing and the same structure, the same, so that when somebody says, can you give me a snapshot of X, Y multiplied by Z over X time? Yeah, of course, because that's what I make decisions on a daily basis.
Yes.
My data room is my business.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Getting there, however, when somebody's running a 3, 4, 5, whatever it is, $1 million business on the back of half of a spreadsheet that's misformatted that they've loved for 10 years.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes. I know. I am always shocked by the things that people will spend their time doing that's important to them and nobody else. Yeah. Because it's a comfort blanket. But actually the stuff that's really important that will get their business sold is the stuff that they're kind of afraid of because they're afraid of making a mistake, or maybe they don't even know. I mean, 9 times out of 10 it is, I don't know that this is what I needed to do. And then they don't know the right question to ask to find the right information. I mean, fundamentally, shameless plug alert. That's why I wrote my book, because I want people to know the right questions to ask. And I want them to lean into the fact that you're not in business on your own. If you've hit the over £1 million turnover mark, you've got a team, and you should set the expectation that that team is part of the getting you out of the day to day. I always talk about stalagmites and stalactites because people can visualize these things. So there's 2 types.
Hang on. So tights are the one that hang off the washing line, right?
Yes. So stalactites hang down, stalactites push up. And there's a very funny comedian called Harry Hill who does a whole stalagmites, stalactites thing. But actually, stalagmites, they build up from the ground. So they're pushing up. So you imagine them almost like plants. They're building up because what they're trying to do is they're trying to push the thing that's on the top further up. And actually really good leaders and business owners that want to sell their businesses hire really good people who push them up. They should be pushing them out of the door. So you hire really good people with really good potential, and then you facilitate them doing the best job. What usually happens is stalactites. Basically, you've got things hanging off the bottom, and it's like the whole stalagmites are formed by water dripping down. And basically, the business owner has everybody reporting to them and literally hanging off their shoulders. That's quite a weight. And what that means is that everybody that you're employing is actually trying to drag you down to the lowest common denominator. God, can you imagine when you put that in, putting it in that context of you literally, everybody is pulling you down. If you were a little cork on the ocean and everybody was pulling you down, you'd be drowning. And that's typically how most people in teams feel, especially that transition from going from 10 people to more than 10 people, because you've got across the limits of most people's span of control.
Yeah.
And so you should really be thinking stalagmites, push people up, rather than let people drag you down.
I mean, it's a mathematical thing. The maths need the math, right? If you've got, let's say, 8 people reporting to you,
Yeah.
and you spend half an hour working on their part of the business and half an hour of a one-to-one with them, and then, well, that's 8 hours out of that's one day. It's an entire day just with your people.
Yeah.
Just with that. Realistically, if you've got 8 departments and you're
Yeah.
leading this, you then want to spend at least maybe another hour, maybe.
Yeah.
That's 2 days out of your 5. And then all of a sudden you have to deal with customers and problems and projects and all this sort of stuff. And now you're at day 15 out of the 5. And
Yeah.
no, the maths don't math.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
span of control, depth of control, all that sort of stuff. It's just people have never been taught it. How many, frankly, I come into larger organizations and somebody says, yeah, I've got 14 direct reports. I said, no, you don't. You get 14 people who call you boss. You don't have direct
Yes.
reports. No.
Yeah.
They're reporting to you, but they're not direct. And you don't
Yes.
read the reports because you can't. I mean, it's just not
Yes.
hard.
Yeah. It's almost like a badge of honor of how many people can report to you, though. And people who say, I've got a flat structure, and a lot of business owners say that to me, complete, no hierarchy here. Everybody's got access to me. And I'm going, yeah, how draining does that feel?
Yeah, stop that. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's okay. Number one, get out of the day job.
Yes.
Right? So you can get out of the day job by having the right people. Well, take us through the steps. We haven't bought the book yet. It's okay. We're about to buy the book, but we need to be. Take us through the steps. What's the idea?
It's a 5-step journey. First of all, you need to know where you are now. Like, how much is your business worth right now, and how saleable is it? So knowing where you are, knowing the value of your business right now. The second thing is you need to know what you want. Like, it's your business, but most people think they get into business and then they start to think about the responsibility for everybody else, and they never really think of themselves, unless it's the amount of money that they're taking out of the business. So let's have a moment of complete selfishness and think, what is life going to look like when I don't have a day job, when I've handed over control, and when I don't have the ownership of this business? Because otherwise you're going to get to somewhere else. But let's find a destination rather than just getting the car and drive. Let's drive to a destination. So now that you've got those 2 clear anchor points, let's get the team involved. And most people don't want to have a conversation about, I'm leaving my business. But I've got news for you. If you're not telling your people about your exit plans, they're making it up in their own heads. And the older you get, the more likely you're going to be in their heads. Well, the minute he hits his coffin, that's it, I'm out of a job. And that's not the case if you've built a business that lasts, that has longevity in it. So actually get the team involved. And then which gets you out of the day-to-day, which then puts us in a position for step 4, which is letting go with confidence. And that's building all the controls into your business rather than building the controls into individuals, because individuals come and go. Your business is that should be part of the fabric of the business. And that includes governance and all of the leadership elements and processes. Which all sounds very boring, which is why most people don't do it, because they don't know how to do it and they don't know the right questions to ask to get it done right. Which then gives you and now we're into the 5th step, which is the biggie. This is the golden moment that everybody's looking for, which is successfully exit. Successfully exit on the exit that you want by design, not react to someone making you an offer and then you accepting whatever you're given. I don't know a single business owner that goes into business to get what comes along. They go into business to change their lives, to change other people's lives. And yet when it comes to the exit, they seem to be, well, I've got to do this because it's the only thing I can do. No, you've got choices. So proactively make those choices. And it's funny how I know lots of people go, oh, if I ask the universe, it'll give it to me. And I don't subscribe to some of the woo-woo nonsense that goes on, but I do subscribe to, if I want this, I can get it by design. So decide what you want and let's plan a journey that gets you what you want by design.
Marvelous. 5 steps available in every good bookseller near you. Christine Nicholson's How to Successfully Sell Your Business.
I was going to say available in WH Smith, but they're shutting all their bookshops down.
Okay, available on Remainder in WH Smith. Oh, fabulous. What would you then say if we could have one piece of fabulous advice for these people who are in a position where they're looking, they're thinking, they've got it in their mind, I need to do something. Yep. What's the one how-to? Because I like having a how-to as the title of these things. It's attractive for people to say, I want to listen to that. What's the how to successfully sell your business? How to what?
The biggest thing you can do, if you don't do the preparation and you don't do the financial reporting, just reduce the reliance of the business on you. It's a big step, and there are little steps within it. But if you take yourself out of the business as much as possible, you are increasing the chances that your business will be saleable, and you're also increasing the chances that you'll get nearer to the market value for it. And I know it's not easy because it is a big step, but the first thing really is to think, if I was to walk out of my business today and I got hit by a bus, so I couldn't work in it, what are the critical things that my staff would need to keep the business going while I'm in a full body cast for the next 6 months? And if you can just start thinking about, you just think about one thing that you do today, or one thing that you have done yesterday that you just think, actually, do you know what? If I could hand that over, if I could train my staff to do that one thing, if I could delegate that as part of a process, it just takes one thing off your desk. Now, everybody can do that. And if you just did it, like if you do it once a week, I would recommend you do it once a day. But if you did it once a week, that's 50 things off your desk by the end of the year. Mm-hmm. That's a significant change in the way that you interact with your business.
There's a blocker, I think, and you alluded to, I didn't allude to it, you were direct about it with your stalagmite thing, which is the mindset, the desire that follows, the mindset that follows on from the desire to sell. Your desire to sell comes from either you want the money, you want the exit, you're tired, whatever your reasoning is. Yeah. But you have to at some point say, and I either will continue with this and somebody's going to pay me a lot of money and I'm going to stick around, which is an option for people. You know, you're exiting the business to a new owner so they can take on the responsibility and you'll stick it around for 18 months, 2 years. That's fairly typical in some cases. Yeah. If you are in the position, I think, to say, as you're saying, gosh, I need to step back. I need to turn this into a business and not a lifestyle, not a thing where I am the hero. And people struggle not being the hero.
Yeah. But remember, if you think about all action films, the hero is always someone who is in trouble and who has a weakness. Mm-hmm. And it's only by learning some, going through the action or the adventure or the crisis usually, that they actually learn to then come out of the movie stronger. They're the hero at the beginning when they're weak and when they're in crisis. They're the hero at the end because they've come through the crisis. The crisis what's that saying about suffering is inevitable, I know pain is inevitable, suffering is a choice.
Yes.
I think that's the way around it goes.
Yeah.
I always get it the wrong way around. But yeah, it's at the end of the day, everybody's going to go through these growing pains, but you can make it easy or you can make it hard.
All the choices.
Mm.
If you had the ability to put one message out for the world to see, it's the 10,000 billboards with your one message on all around the world, what would that one message be?
Be kind.
That's simple.
Yeah.
That's simple. There's always a kind way of doing something. And kindness doesn't necessarily mean being nice.
No, I
No.
am often told that I'm one of the kindest people
Hmm.
that people know. I am also told that my tolerance for BS is microscopic and that I am direct. But you see, kindness is not about telling people what they want to hear.
No.
It is about telling people what they need to know.
Yes. Indeed. Indeed.
Sometimes it's tough.
So, what are you working on a sequel to the book? What are you working on right now?
Well, this one is actually a sequel to the last book, which was called Sell It. And I'm definitely, although there's going to be another book. I love writing books. I think I've written 8 so far. And yeah, I just love the process. So, no, then the next thing really is actually I'm working on a really valuable program right now about out of the day-to-day, getting out of the day-to-day in 26 weeks. Because it's such a problem for people to get out of the day-to-day that they need more support. And so it's bringing small groups of business owners together where they literally just focus as a cohort on what they need to do to get out of the day-to-day. And they all start off in the same place. And of course, they all finish in a very different place. So that's the next big step, because actually the whole exit thing is it's big. It's like an elephant, whereas the out of the day-to-day in 26 weeks is one bite of the elephant, or maybe even a leg of the elephant. So it actually just takes one major thing, and it really includes changing your mindset, figuring out what your exit options are, and bringing your team along. And that there's the elements of how do you lead when you have failed to communicate what you want, and that because you can't lead if your team is playing guesswork.
Yeah.
But many business owners just don't know how to have the exit conversation with their team because they think it's going to scare their team off, and actually what happens is completely the opposite. Your team are making a story up in their heads. It might not be a story you like. Tell them the story you want them to hear.
Make them part of the story.
Yes. Yeah.
They can go on the journey to the Holy Grail or to find the MacGuffin of your choice. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. Make them the hero of the story. You as the business owner should be the guide. You're the sage. You're the one that comes along and says, you're the heroes of this journey, and I'm just going to make sure you don't jump off the wrong cliff.
That's it. The golden elixir at the end of the journey. There we are.
Yeah.
Is there something in particular then? You said you've been doing this for 30 odd years. Is there something you would want to go all the way back and thank the young Christine for doing?
Yes. Understanding the power of mentorship. It was, I've had mentors since I was 9 years old, and I didn't really appreciate that until I got my very first business mentor. I've had life mentors and career mentors, and then I got my first business mentor, the guy called Colin Potter, and he's still around. And he was fabulous because he taught me that kindness is telling people what they need to hear. And in business, that is really tough. But equally, he did it with great humor. So one of the businesses that I started where he was my mentor, I needed to do cold calling because I needed to do a lot of education. And so it was well-being in the workplace way before it was trendy, way before it was trendy. So it was quite a tough sell. And I remember having a conversation with him at 8:30 in the morning, and he said, "What are you doing today?" And I said, okay, well, I've got this admin to do and I've got this, that, and the other to do. And he said, so who are you calling? And so, well, I'll do those this afternoon. He said, no, people start work at 9 o'clock. So you need to start phoning at 9 o'clock. So anyway, it got to about 10 past 9 and I'm still faffing around. And he phoned me. And of course, I answered the phone and he shouted down the phone, why can I get through? You should be calling. And he was like, and actually, it was a game changer. Listening to his advice was a game changer. He never told me what to do. He guided me as to this might be the best use of my time, and then taught me why. So yeah,
That's
again, always with kindness.
it's interesting you say it's a mentor, we're not a coach. I think you're
Yeah,
using coaching techniques,
yeah,
but with much clearer outcomes.
yeah. And I'm often asked, what's the difference between a coach and a mentor?
Yeah.
And I'm very clear on this. I mean, people might disagree with me, and they're wrong. So, but a coach uses coaching techniques, and
Mhm.
they don't have to have done what you've done. A mentor has very firmly walked in your shoes.
That's
A
precisely it.
mentor will tell you the limit of their knowledge. A coach never needs to do that because they have no knowledge, and then there's no expectation of knowledge on their part. So yeah, so mentors use coaching techniques, but they've also walked in your shoes. They've got the wounds, the t-shirt, the whole shebang, and that's why I call myself a mentor, because I'm not a formally trained coach. I have a ILM 7 in business mentoring, and I have which is a master's level qualification, and then I have an ILM 7 in mentoring supervision, which is mentoring the mentors. And both of those have just been really great personal development tools. And I've learned a lot of coaching through them.
I didn't know that existed. I'm going to have to go and look that one up now because exactly the same as I differentiate myself by saying that yes, I use coaching techniques, but I've done that. And by the way, don't do that one because whatever you're suggesting is a really bad idea because
Yeah,
what else could you do instead? What are your options here? Yeah, don't take that
yeah,
one.
yes,
Because that
yeah,
way
yeah,
leads to pain. It's the knowledge, it's the scars in the back from
yeah.
people chasing you and hitting you. What did you do? Throwing bricks in your head.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. So, I mean, the joy of mentoring is that you allow people to make their own mistakes.
Indeed.
And then when they come back and go, I wish I'd listened to you, you never say, I told you so. You never let your experience get in their way. You just warn them of the impact of what they're doing. Plenty of my clients have gone ahead and done exactly what they pleased, and then come back and said, "God, I really wish I'd listened to you." So, well, now you know what to do next time. Um, and that's the bit that extends the exit journey, because this getting your head around having to hand over things, to trust your staff, to ensure that you've got the right processes in place such that your staff actually have real clarity on what to do. So in the military, and I'm a veteran, but in the military, they have the 3 C's. So it's clarity, certainty, and consistency. Absolute clarity on what the mission outcome is, certainty of how people are going to behave, because the minute no plan survives first contact with the enemy. So, yeah, clarity, certainty, and then consistency. It's about consistency of behavior. When people around you are being shot, you know exactly what to do because you'll always behave in a consistent way, because everybody is very, mission orientated. You bring that into business, and it actually works quite well. It's the same with span of control. The whole span of control around 8 is a military thing.
Yeah.
Everywhere goes where in twos. There's 4 in a, and I can never get the language right, but then there's 4, then there's 8, but never, the span of control is never greater than 8, and that works really well.
Christine, where can we find you when we need you?
So my website is really easy. It's christinenicholson.co.uk. You can usually find my books on Amazon, but you can also find them on my website if you do not want to pay, make Amazon even richer. However, if you're really keen on going to Mars, Amazon all the way. So christinenicholson.co.uk, or you can find me on LinkedIn, and I'm really visible on LinkedIn. Almost everything that I do or publish is on LinkedIn.
Well, we'll put all the links into the description of the episode when it is released. And just remains for me to say, Christine Nicholson, thank you very much indeed for joining me.
Thank you for giving me a platform to vent my passions.